Hi there, everybody. This is Body Electrician Live, and we've got another episode going on here. Glad you could join us. We have Miss Cheryl Whitehouse in San Diego.
Hello.
How you doing, Cheryl?
Hi, I'm doing good.
All right. And we're also hanging out with Dr. Will Spencer this evening. Say hi.
Yay! Hi, Will.
Hi, Will.
Imagine that, him on this show.
Yeah, hopefully you can hear me.
We can hear you. And just to make mention, look, we all got our little logos up there. We're feeling very cool this evening. So anyway, so it's officially February now, guys.
No, it's not.
I know, it's crazy, right? It is crazy.
Groundhog saw its shadow.
Oh, shadow. We should talk about shadow selves. Eesh.
There you go.
Oh yeah. Topics. Lots of topics. Do we want to start on the vitamins and supplements? And I know you love that word, Will. Go ahead, yell at me. Yell at me about vitamins.
It's like poking me with a stick.
We're saying coconut oil.
Exactly.
Yeah. Same to you.
Well, we know you have a very different view about vitamins.
Yeah, we do, because our body is supposed to make our own vitamins. And that's our goal, is to get the body to create their own vitamins. So when you take vitamins and get benefits, as in more energy and things, it's just an indication that you're really out of balance. And if you're taking any vitamin, it's a synthetic event. You're causing things to happen, which is enabling your body to stay weak, because the vitamins are supposed to be created inside your body. And let me ask you, why isn't there vitamin T or vitamin P or vitamin W, which there are? Is because the manufacturing industries haven't figured out how to synthesize it.
Interesting. See, folks, see how you learn things on this show. Thank you.
Yeah, and so the biggest thing is, so we'll just talk about vitamin C, which is very important part of the Krebs cycle, metabolism and so forth, and our immune system. Vitamin C. Everyone's taking vitamin C. We actually just added, because we found 2 high-quality sources of vitamin C that are not coming from corn or modified E. coli. So we added them to our database, and they're showing up all over the place. So you've heard of scurvy.
Sure.
Right? The sailors who used to be out to sea, they would eat all the real food, and then after they ate all the real food, what was left was gruel or grain. Okay? So one of the first enzymes that gets shut off when you're eating grain is GLO. And I don't remember it's a pretty long word, but the 3 initials are GLO. And that enzyme is what's needed for our body to make vitamin C. So eating your organic oatmeal and your organic sprouted bread is going to land you with the inability to create vitamin C. Then the next enzyme that gets shut off is lactase. So it's a downward spiral from there. And so that's why I cringe at the word vitamins, because the whole concept of taking vitamins is totally based in allopathic thinking. And that's not, the thinking isn't to help your body heal, it's to force the body to do something that it's unable to or can't. So that's where the whole vitamin taking concept just drives me insane, because we don't sell vitamins. We get the body to make its own vitamins, which is the way nature designed it.
Right.
So that's why I passionately detest the word vitamins.
Well, we're with you, Will.
Well, we're with me here anyhow tonight.
Yeah. Yes, we are. We are. By the grace of Google, we are.
By the grace of Google.
Yes, we were having major issues before, so we're praying to the Google God that we stay on and can bring you this wonderful information, right, Cheryl?
That's right.
Well, the thing is, lucky you're not in Iowa because the Google gods in Iowa are rigging the election.
Really?
Yeah, don't you watch the
Well, I
real
try not,
non-news?
I try not to watch any of that crapola, but anyway, yeah, tell me more about that. That's crazy.
That's all I can tell you. I don't know a whole lot more. I just know that Microsoft has apps that you can vote with, and the counting. Evidently, they're finding all kinds of fraud going on in Iowa at the pre-voting voting.
Is
So
any of it real, Will? I don't think so.
I don't think it's anything. It's all there's no such thing as you vote and your vote makes a difference. Sorry, And here,
No, no.
let's stay away from politics. Otherwise, I will lose. I will make people hang up and not watch this.
You'll lose your cookies.
Yeah, I have no positive things regarding politics in the way it's going now.
Absolutely.
Uh,
All right, so we do have vitamin C though now. So you did introduce that into the protocol. That's pretty new.
we did because people's bodies just can't make it. I mean, getting the body, restoring the body to function sometimes because of vaccine damage, because of negative emotional suppression, because of heavy metals, because of infections. It's a challenge nowadays.
Yeah, absolutely. Well,
Mm.
you see it coming up in scans all the time, right? How
What?
out of balance we all are.
Yeah, yeah. If people really get to see on a minute molecular level our environment, it's really simple though. If you've ever looked like I've stood in Henderson and overlooked Las Vegas, or been in Phoenix area, or any of these metropolitan areas that kind of sit down in a hole or a dip, and you will see the pollution in the air is unmistakable.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, we have that even where we live, just down the hill from us. You can see that. Yep.
That is pharmaceutical drugs, that's heavy metals, that's petrochemicals, that is all this stuff, pesticides, microorganisms.
Jeez.
So this whole concept that our environment is we live just because we don't live in a big city, that our environment is safe and clean is not based in reality on a molecular level. I mean, northern Minnesota, I used to do air sampling, and we would have air sampler testers at the field where they're spraying the pesticides, then at 1 mile, 5 and 10 miles. And most of the time at the 5 and 10 mile marks, we were picking up more pesticides than at the field.
Wow. That's pretty
That's that's crazy what that is.
right.
Yeah.
Cuckoo. But everything is, I mean, the snowstorm we just had, now it was like 40, actually the other day here on Long Island, 64 degrees.
It's been 60 for the last 4 days here. There was over 2 feet of snow disappeared since the storm just a few days ago.
Huge, 30 inches of snow in New York and then 64 degrees. Now, I don't know.
Huh.
I don't know.
I know. What are you talking about? That's
Yeah,
totally not natural.
yeah. No, nothing is anymore. So this is why we come see you, Dr. Will, because you help us shift out of just the craziness, right?
Shift out of second gear into third, and here we go.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much going on in our environment, our food, and
Right.
then all this
Our,
misinformation. All this stuff about, like you said, the vitamins. How many people tell me, "Oh, I'm on all kinds of vitamins. I'm pounding vitamins." It's like, they don't realize how that's going to eventually cause imbalance. Correct?
Right. Well, people don't understand that vitamin D is really a pesticide. Vitamin C, this stuff in the market is really pesticides. They're using the vitamins as pesticides in agriculture. So, vitamin D, they put it in milk. It's a preservative because it kills the bacteria. So now and they put vitamin C in your veins to kill infections. Well, what is that? That's a pesticide. You're injecting vitamin C into your veins. This what drives me nuts about the cancer industry.
Right.
So hold on, I gotta plug my computer in. My battery's dying. Hold on just a second.
Uh-oh.
Yep, sorry about that. I forgot to plug it in when I brought it in my room.
Otherwise, we'll disappear.
Well, you may want that.
No, we like you, Will. But yeah.
Okay, I'm back. Okay, so just think about the concepts. I just love. We've been talking to Adam Abraham lately because we were in Florida earlier. Well, a month ago, we were in Florida in a citrus grove, and Adam was putting his water structuring device in the grove in the irrigation system, and I was applying our products, our Vibrant Earth products, in a sampling to see if this citrus greening imbalance and infections if our stuff is going to actually work for these farmers. And so we're just standing there talking about concepts. More, what's the word when you're talking in concepts, but there's a word I forget it off the top of my head. But it's about way people think.
Okay.
That's the problem, is the thinking, because people don't think outside of their parameters, and most people, like we were just talking before the show about the insufficiencies that are being programmed with public school education, and we're taught not to think, not to figure things out, not to use common sense and look at things objectively. We're only taught a limited view and to be subjective, basically. And we go on to college, it's the same way, very narrow focus. You have a kidney specialist, you have this botanist, you have a insect guy that only studies insects.
Right.
You see, you have whole academia splits everything up like the military into little narrow focuses. So what you do is what you do, and you don't know what goes on over here, because in that world, in academia, it's not related.
Right.
When everything's related.
Mm.
Our energy field goes out a long way, so where everything is related, everything is involved. And so how did we get here? We were talking about vitamin C.
Because it's all connected.
It's all connected.
Yeah, well, yeah, going back to what you just said about the thoughts, that's a nice segue too, because I was listening to your show today. You got the paper.
I
And
have the quote.
you got an awesome quote there that when you said it, I was like, yes, totally. So,
Want me to say it again?
oh yeah,
Yeah.
go for it.
The only time we suffer is when we believe a thought that argues with what is.
Yes.
Wow.
Ow.
Yeah.
It just hurts, just, yeah. Yep. It's
And the other thought that I read from Walter Russell from 1936. Here it is. Hold on.
we got more.
Here we go. 80 years ago, folks. Life itself is mental, eternal, and unchanging. The body expresses life in a journey which begins in a sensed-controlled mechanism and ends in a self-controlled one. So we're taught basically from our environment, that's our senses, and then we end up supposed to be self-controlled. But most people are not. They're controlled by their thoughts that are all arguing with them.
Well, that's a huge topic right there.
It is.
I'm sure I'm not alone, that I'm feeling that a lot myself. How do you feel thoughts? But the thoughts sort of make you feel things because and it's like you can't shut them down. And you were talking about listening. Who's actually listening to those thoughts? It says,
Do an experiment. It's really simple. It takes 10 seconds.
go.
You just close your eyes,
Mm-hmm.
and we won't say anything, but just close your eyes, and then take your awareness inside. And what are you hearing? What are you seeing?
Hmm.
Mine is my stomach's growling. I'm hungry. I didn't eat yet. My microphone isn't working very well, and my headset's not working. I got to go to the bathroom, you know. But the point is, who's listening?
Yeah. Yeah, I know. I can feel that. When you said that, I said, "Oh yeah, there's definitely like more than one person in here."
Well, there's one person, but it's split up, and that was
Yeah.
the point. That was the point of the show today that I did, because I realized that with each trauma that we have since birth, our identity gets split off into different segments. It's just natural survival. It's
Right.
just that's how intelligent this meat suit is, because it knows it has to survive, and it will break the identity up into bits and pieces and fragmentations to stay alive.
Right.
So when I had trauma when I was 3, this get walled off and gets put over here. Then I'm 4, and boom, this trauma, and this gets walled off and put over here. I mean, psychotherapy even acknowledges that.
Right.
But then it doesn't translate anywhere else besides that. That's the academic allopathic model, where that's just over there. But then when you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, 70 years old, and you have had all that adversity, and you can't sleep, you're sweating profusely, you can't go to the bathroom, you're going into dementia,
Right.
you upset stomach all the time. And most of those things are rooted back into the trauma. That's how the body has stored the trauma, and just to stay alive. So I'm encouraging people to begin to look at the ACEs study that came to completion here not too long ago. That's Adverse Childhood Experiences Study.
Yes.
And check out some of the new information coming out. Okay, here, I got books. They're sitting right here. They're right under my bedstand.
Well, see, I knew we were going to go into the whole childhood thing, so that's why I'm sitting down with a friendly dinosaur over here.
In
Oh,
in the
Yeah,
kids' room.
I'm in the kids' room. I even got Hello Kitty over here. Look, see? So now,
Uh,
here's your book.
Freedom from pain.
What is
Discover your freedom from pain. Discover your body's power to overcome physical pain. All right, Mr. Peter Levine, whatever.
Okay.
Another one of his books, An Unspoken Voice. How
Gotcha.
the body releases trauma and restores goodness. Okay, he's just one author. I'm just immersed in his stuff right now, and there's quite a few other authors. Childhood Disrupted, which I've mentioned before. Um, I'm even having to go back and take some courses, because they've actually got some college courses put together now that are instructing people like me that work with other people on how to help people go through pain and go through and heal from the childhood adversity, because it's that huge. I discovered that, and I'm like, oh my gosh. And Delanne and I were listening and reading some books, and it was like, we started talking to people, and Nancy was one of them. Cheryl is one of them. We started talking, like, does this make sense? How does this relate to you? And
Mm.
like, it relates to everybody. We,
Oh,
we live in we live in a world that is socially engineered to create trauma and chaos. Just a hospital childbirth causes adversity.
well, you've been talking about this a lot on your show, I know, and you had Gary on there too. And the two
Gary,
of
yeah.
you, I spoke to you about this. I text you while you were on the show, um, just about something that came up when you were talking about your own adversity, traumas that happened as you were a child, and I had a memory of being in a hospital as a kid. And I asked my mom. I think I was more like about 8, and after getting a tonsillectomy, which was very common back then, I woke up from. Did you have that too, Cheryl?
I did. Yep.
So
Tonsils
did
and
we all.
adenoids.
Yeah. So I mean, they just pop those suckers out as when you were little. But um, the weirdest thing for me was waking up in. And I guess they wheeled me into a room, and there was nobody in the room, um, and there was a big glass window next to me. And I woke up and my throat was hurting, and I needed some water. And banging on the window, on the glass window, I could see people on the other side, and nobody was answering. It was, very upsetting, and I just felt so alone. And that came up while you were talking about your trauma. Well, it's amazing how somebody else's trauma can trigger your own, and that panic that I felt, and that connected me with other things about why I've had these issues. It's been an interesting year, with not being able to confront my own feelings. So I guess something about that glass window, of shouting out, but no one can hear me. It's a disconnect. It's not being able to express things. So
That's the importance of these shows in conversation. That's what I love about my show is I'm I rarely ever do it alone
yeah,
because I'm just yakking then, and you lose so much and you gain so much when you're in conversation. So it's kind of like eavesdropping. So you get to listen in on the conversation, an alternate perspective. It's like an ongoing conversation. That's why I love this show. We just get to talk, and then the people will be triggered as long as we're being sincere, honest, and transparent.
yeah,
Then that helps other people. As you got triggered by listening to me talk with Gary,
that's it.
and that's a healing event that just took place there. So you gained a bit of healing just by listening to a conversation. So that's an important concept. I hate lectures. I absolutely abhor lectures. But in conversation, you learn so much more because there's a synergistic effect going on between people, like us three here.
Yep.
You get like not just a complementary, but you get a multiplication of energy, of thought, of information, viewpoints. That's one of the benefits I get that I say a benefit of growing up with my dad was 40 when I was born. So I grew up around old people.
Mhm.
I say old people are, they are. My dad was retired by the time I was, wanted to play ball and stuff like that. My dad was like just coming to the end of his work life. So I got to sit and listen to a lot of old guys. And the value that I attained by being just there, listening to the old guys talking to each other, I'm flashing back all the time now as an adult to some of those things that they said, 35, 40 years ago. And you now this conversation like we're having here or my show that I have every week is it's important that people get to listen in and have a benefit of our conversation.
Yeah.
That's our community here. This is a kind of like the Body Electrician Live community. You got a whole thing in Facebook, Body
Yeah.
Electrician Community Kitchen, right?
Yep. Yep.
Which I'm gratefully thankful for, by the way. Thank you, both of you two, for doing that, because one thing, it takes a bit of load off of Delanne and me. And the other thing is, people are so isolated now. They have all the technology that, that closest to the Jetsons as we can get, but yet people are so alone and isolated. It's just
Yeah.
bizarre. It's bizarre for me because I don't ever feel alone. I could pick up the phone and call somebody. Hey, how you doing? Here we are. Here we are. What? 8:30 on a Wednesday evening, Eastern Standard Time, and Cheryl's 3,000 miles away. And you should smile more, Cheryl, by the way. So Cheryl is 3,000 miles away, and we're having a conversation. I mean, how cool is that? But yet people are alone, or they feel
Yeah.
isolated.
Yeah, there's a book called Mind Over Medicine, and the author there says that the loneliness and isolation that people are feeling, particularly today, is one of the major contributors to illness.
And it's just a story in your head, that being alone. That's totally an illusion, that a thought that people have and they hold on to like it's some kind of precious piece of gold or something, and they won't let it go, because I have been all over this country and I've never been alone. It's a concept that people they're like trapped into, like, I'm alone. I'm like, what? You're alone? Reach out.
Reach out.
But they
Yeah.
can't. Here. Let me read that quote again to you. Hold on. Let me find it. Where'd it go? Here. The only time we suffer is when we believe a thought that argues with what is. I'm going to read a little more. Do you mind?
No, go for it.
When the mind is perfectly clear, what is what we want. If you want reality to be different than it is, you might as well, let's see, let me read that again. If you want reality to be different than it is, you might as well try to teach a cat to bark. You're not going to change reality. Even though you listen to the internet and you hear all the lies that are being told to you as truth, but reality is still reality. That's one of the dangers of all this technology. There is a distinct disconnect from reality. I've lived most of my life in the outside world, in reality, in experiences, in physical, tangible experiences. And growing up, we were talking about this again before the show. I grew up, we didn't have electronics. We didn't have conveniences like kids have today. Our phone was on a 20-foot little spiral cord attached to the cupboard. That was our phone. And if you were on it for more than 5 minutes, someone was hollering at you. We had a television that had 3 channels. If we wanted to do something, we went outside. Because if you wanted to do something and have fun in the house, usually you got run outside, because it was usually what I wanted to do was fun, was troublesome for the adults. So it was out. Get out or go to your room.
It's reverse now. It's a punishment to be sent outside, and people just want to hang out in their room.
Right, because they got their computer. They got their digital
Yeah.
reality.
That's it. That's it. Yeah. It's funny. I came down here to set up. I was having issues with the internet and such. So this is a better place to to do this. However, when I was down here, my son came down and he started playing with the toys, and I thought, oh, look at that. It's that virtual reality that they're so attracted to, and they can't break that. Until somebody comes maybe downstairs. Here I am downstairs. Oh, I'm down here. I'll start playing with toys. The imagination starts going then. That's what you want.
Yeah, the creativity with kids nowadays is really missing, and
Yeah.
that's unhealthy. Like, um, my two of my kids, 14 and 13, they are living with me now, and they didn't know how to write cursive. They were going to public school, and they don't teach cursive anymore. Well, I'm like, are you serious?
After third
You're
grade.
What's that?
After third grade, Will. They teach them how to do it, physically how to do it, and then you think the kids are going to do it unless they're forced to?
Yeah,
And they're
and
not. They're not
and
told. You know, we used to be told you have to hand it in cursive. But,
absolutely.
you know, they don't do it anymore.
Well, that is causing brain damage because parts of your brains do not become active unless you have the hand-eye coordination.
Yeah.
Your brain does not develop in certain areas. And then this new math crap they're teaching is totally insane. It's like, I had the opportunity to either send my kids to public school again or to homeschool. I'm like, I'm biting it and I'm doing homeschooling because I can see the deficit in a 13 and a 15-year-old by going to public school. It's like there's no way I can't even I can't consciously send my children to public school because they're going to be severely retarded, slowed down, diminished. Their brains are not going to be activated because they don't do that anymore. And I'm appalled that this is happening, and the majority of people are still sending their kids to this place.
That's it. I know. Well, you know something? Somebody on the kitchen actually brought up a good point, which is all this bad news. You guys are always posting all this bad news. What's some good news for us? What can we do? So you know that's an important topic too, and obviously we want to give people ways out of this madness, and
Mm.
so you know obviously engaging the imagination is hugely important for our kids. We have to remember that ourselves. It's so easy to pick up these dopey phones and start, you know, you forget yourself. You disappear in them. Disappear on the internet. You just it's important to pick up a book, read the book. And I'm really starting to believe in books. Not I have an electronic book, those dumb Kindles. I don't, I don't know. I'm not loving
Yeah.
it. You too, Cheryl?
Yeah, I could never really like the Kindle thing. I like the feel of a real book, but I suppose people like the younger people, if they're not used to books, they might be fine with it.
Yeah. Well, I saw it musically too. I mean, how the DJs took over the music. Now kids are used to that. They don't a live band. What do you mean a live band? You know, that's all the weddings have DJs now. You're talking about the difference between analog sound, which is real vibration in front of you being produced by humans, the emotion that's involved in that, compared to digital sound. There's no comparison. But the kids today, they're used to it. So again, what's the positive of it? Start bringing back live music. Go listen to it. Support it. Support
Yeah,
real
Get a
real
book,
stuff. Support it.
real a real book. Get a real book
Get a
with
real
with
book.
pages. Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
yeah,
nothing wrong with the technology, but we don't want to lose, and we are losing. And we're losing the battle of keeping it together. So this is where these
yeah.
movements come in on.
Well, it's not that we're losing the battle because there's a huge homeschool movement. There's a huge
That's right.
we're being faced with um, the effect because we're the last generation that had a choice between analog and digital.
That's right. Yep.
We know what it's like to be exposed to both, and we're me anyhow we're being repelled from the most of the digital conveniences back to the real stuff. because the real stuff is real. I mean, it's tangible. When you're in a band, when you're sitting there or dancing, or you're in the audience listening to real live music, and then you listen to generated music, electronically generated music, it's a completely different reality. Your senses, like I just read from 1936, the physical senses are completely different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Especially if your instruments and your music is tuned to what is it, 432 or something instead of
Yeah.
400 or whatever.
Hertz, yeah. Because music was shifted into 440, which that what that means is when you hit an A, everybody tunes that A to a certain vibration, which is at 440 hertz. Slightly detuned down to 432. Interesting about that it actually has a correlation to the Earth's own uh, vibration at 8 hertz. It's around 8 hertz, which ties right into 432. A Stradivarius violin, the original violin, that's the violin, tuned to 432. It was designed that way. A lot of old instruments as well. So
Yeah.
You know, we have friends that are in business in the music industry too, and like you, Nancy, and one of them, you can just Google her, Dana Gaynor Band in
yep,
Pennsylvania. Anyhow, she's all about that, and you want to talk about sitting in a real music being played in front of you, and then the emotion. And
absolutely.
you feel not just a crowd being the entertainer, but the crowd feels the entertainer, the emotion, the feeling that they're putting in out through the vibrations of their instrument. That is huge.
Yes,
Yeah. Yeah.
absolutely.
My son, he's been home through high school, and uh, so he had a lot of time to pursue his own interest, which was a good thing with homeschooling. And he taught himself to play, I believe, about 6 instruments: piano, mountain dulcimer, guitar, fiddle, and they just kind of keep getting more obscure. There's a couple of Chinese ones he's gotten recently, but in a way, I don't want him to leave because I love having the live music.
Nice house
So
in
I know his time will come to leave, but
Absolutely.
so that was a particularly cool thing about him being home during that time. Even if he did spend a lot of time on the computer, he'd also spend a lot of time just outdoors or different places playing his instruments and stuff.
Yeah. You reminded me too, Cheryl, of you do a lot of artwork. Your artwork is all over Cheryl's house. If I was there, thank you, Cheryl. I
It's
have
all over our house too, by the
no.
way.
And that's so important. I mean, that's such an outlet. It's such an expression of who you are, Cheryl. You know, and that's an area that people could get back to. You don't have to be. You know, Cheryl is exceptional at what she does, but you don't have to be exceptional to express yourself on paper, with pens, with watercolors. Just do it. There's even coloring books. We put it on the kitchen. Coloring books that are for adults, actually. And there's something even freeing about that. And feel free to color outside the lines, folks. You can do that too.
Yeah,
But
Delanne got one of those coloring books and some pencils, and oh wow, just a way, an avenue to just let some creativity out in the evening.
that's it.
What a benefit.
Absolutely. We forget that until you actually sit down and relax with something like that. I have a girlfriend on Long Island here, and she runs something called Soul Collage. I don't know if anybody's heard of that, but you actually go through like magazines. First, you cut out pictures, and you create your own little board. You glue everything together according to just what you feel. And then later, you pick up this little piece of art that you made by gluing all these images together, and you uh, kind of say a statement to the paper, to the artwork, and you ask it kind of to speak for itself through you. It's amazing what comes up with stuff like that. So those are little things you could do. You could do that at home. You don't need any special tools for that, just some magazines and some scissors, and a little glue. But it's
Magazine.
yeah,
What are those?
exactly. Well, she collects them, so it's another way. It's another outlet. It's and it's great because it connects people as well because you're all sharing what you're seeing in your artwork, So it's kind of cool.
That's just a way. I mean, in the wintertime, that's just a way to be creative. So in the summertime, you can garden and do other things. But, well, of course, Cheryl, she lives in perpetual summer.
No, no, it's not.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it is. I'll trade you 0 for your 50 any day.
Us too, right? But anyway, folks, what do you think?
All right. What else you want to talk about?
Well, that's up to you guys if you want to continue or.
Well, I just want to say that right now, coming off the holidays and everyone's got their sniffly noses, you shouldn't have been so naughty, but I was too, so it's all good. There's we're putting a newsletter shortly together, so if you want to receive a newsletter, you need to get your email to us. So you can go to the bodyelectrician.com and send us a note or send me an email, and you can get on the list. Scans are picking up again, so we're growing, is what I'm saying.
Absolutely.
The word of mouth is getting around. We really don't advertise other than doing shows like this and my weekly show and interviews. Next week, let's see, next Tuesday, the Just Bernard show. Bernard Alvarez asked me to be on his show next week, next Tuesday. So that'll be next week. I'll be talking. I think hopefully if Adam Abraham, I'm going to have him on my show. I'm sure you girls are going to be wanting him on your show too one of these days.
Absolutely, we're going to have him on, and he's great loot.
Right, because we're actually working with Adam and his water device, presidentwater.com, I believe.
Right.
His water structuring device enhances the microbial action and the mineral uptake from our products in agriculture. We have lots of big things this year developing from our standpoint here, business-wise. So still the best thing, we just updated the scan process a little bit. The software company has got FDA compliancy, which I'm not really too thrilled with. But we had to update the software a little bit, and so it still does the same thing. They did take the pharmaceutical drugs away from us, so we don't have that. Vaccinations are still there.
Huh.
They only took just the pharmaceutical drugs and some of the patented, copyrighted disease names away from us. So, but everything else is working the same. We added some new products because we've expanded that, and that is what's happening right now, the scanning process. It's pretty much overtaking everything we're doing.
Yeah, and for people who don't know, Cheryl and I are kind of remote scan hubs. So in other words, Dr. Will can't be everywhere. So if you are in an area that there's a local scan hub, you can just contact them. Is that going to be on the website, Will? I thought you said that was.
There will be a page. We are updating. Like I said,
that would be great.
yeah, there will be a whole page for our local scan hubs, and you guys will be in there with your contact information.
Sure.
And I think we have 18 of them around the country now and growing. We have some more negotiations in the process. So.
Right.
And then again, if you don't have a local scan hub close to you, just call us. We'll send you a scanner. You can rent one of ours,
Right?
and we can help you increase your health.
Absolutely.
We
And
kind of specialize in the crazy stuff where the medical system sends you home to die, basically, and we have a pretty good track record of making sure that you don't die.
awesome.
We have like our scan hub in Alaska. She moved to Alaska to die in a wheelchair, and well, about 4 years now. She just got her realtor's license.
I know
She's our
what you're
scan
talking
hub up there in
about.
Anchorage, or up north of Anchorage, and she's actually talking about what we've helped her with accomplish from going to die to living her life and up in Alaska now
That's amazing.
in 4 years. I mean, that's just one of many, many stories that we're going through and be adding more to our website, more testimonials and more information. So
Well, we'd like to start doing that too, Will. We'd like to get people like who you're just talking about there. I don't know if you're talking
Miriam, you could talk about her.
about
Miriam.
Hi, Miriam.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she'd love to.
yeah. I think that would be great. You know, start getting people on here who want to share their stories. We, of course, had Lisa. We did a radio interview with her rather than uh, having her on the show. But anybody who's able to come on Google with us on a hangout like this, I mean, you don't. If you're afraid to show your face, don't worry about it. You can also just have an icon come up, some sort of picture, and you actually don't have to. I don't know how that's done. Does anybody know how that's done? But there is a way to do it because Bob has come on with us, and
Keep the camera off.
yeah,
I
it's,
don't know.
it's something he does where he just puts an icon on. So
Yeah, it can be done.
yeah, and worst comes to worst, I mean, we had Lisa call in, and I had her on my phone, and I just put the phone near the computer and picked up that way. There's ways
Yep.
around it if you're uncomfortable being on camera, but that's a great idea, having people share their stories, and we all have them, including Cheryl and I. How you've helped us, and it's amazing too, Will, because we've often talked about how I came to you, I'm sure as many people do, with a physical problem. I'm feeling tired, I've got brain fog, this, that, and the other thing. But that's not where it ends up. It's yeah, that gets you to a certain point, but that something happens within that starts churning up, and the psyche is there to help with a lot of it. But one thing leads to another, and before you know it, you're like me, going crazy and trying to find out who you are.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we have
It's
a
that
friend.
easy.
But that's it. That's part of the journey. I mean, really, it really is. It's literally a journey to start seeing you guys. It's not just the physical. Don't be surprised, folks. It wakes up all kinds of stuff
It's
in you.
it's never the physical. You can't have the physical without the non-physical. It doesn't. It just doesn't happen. Sorry. I mean, we had a personal friend now after being a client, right? She had broke her ankle 9 times. 9 times. She just figured she was just going to live with pain forever. And the pain went away in the first 2 months, and then some of these other things started just vanishing. And I was talking with her today. She's like on her 14th scan or something like that now over the years. And she goes, I think the really good side effects of this stuff is I don't have all these other pains either, and my brain is working this way, and I look at life differently. I can tolerate my husband now where I wanted to stab him in the face before, and it's stuff like that. Is just the benefit, the good side effects of
That's it.
wanting just your ankle to feel good.
That's right. Well, that was one of our shows we did, right, folks? We it was all about the emotional end of it. How when you get to a certain point in the physical, and it's still not healing with all the supplements and all of that kind of work, you got to start looking within. Something's going on. There's an emotional something there, a blockage, something you're not facing that you need to. It's scary, but that's here we are. This is where we're at, right?
I believe it.
Yeah.
I know it.
Yeah. And what were you saying before, Will, about reading books? I said I was reading a lot of books, and you said, "Are you going crazy yet?" or something like that. It was great.
Yeah, I said, have you noticed yourself getting more angry or being more touchy or, like when you expand yourself, it's uncomfortable. There was something, I think there's a posted into the kitchen website or the Facebook thing about this old fellow with this beard, right? And he was saying that we're like lobsters. A lobster is a hard-shelled animal, and it's a soft-bodied creature, right, inside this shell. And it gets to a point as it's growing, it gets very uncomfortable, and that's its indication that it needs to get a new shell. So unless you're uncomfortable, you don't know that it's time or that you're growing. So that's always happens with me. Is when I start reading more, or like we've been meditating more as a group, as a family, as a business. Like we don't start work until we sit down as a group, all of us, and do our our new exercise in the morning, which is non-movement in a little guided meditation. And I'll tell you what, the last 10 days, it's been like stirring the pot, poking. I mean, it's like everyone's more edgier, but it's just a sign that we're growing. It's a sign of our environment inside is altering. Just like that lobster. If it's time to grow because it's getting uncomfortable in here.
Yes. Well, thank you for that, because sometimes I don't know if anybody else feels that, but when that comes up, you start feeling uncomfortable, you start blaming yourself or start saying, "Oh, I must be doing something wrong because I feel like crap." So it's got
Right.
going the wrong direction. I must be screwing up somewhere. And what you're saying is the opposite, which is when you're feeling that, pay attention to it. But that's movement. That's growth.
That's a sign, yeah.
The sign of
And just remember, it takes a lot of crap to grow really pretty flowers.
Yep.
Really, if you try to grow flowers in just plain old silica sand, it won't happen. You've got to have crap, compost, in order to grow. And so that's all it is. You need to be uncomfortable. It's a sign of growth, or a sign that you need to grow, or it's a sign.
So out of death comes life.
Yeah, there really is no death. There's just transition.
Yeah.
I remember Will used to say that to me. I want you to be uncomfortable. I'd be like, what? Why? I get it now.
Yeah,
I
well,
know.
we went through the landmark stuff too, right, folks? So
Well, yeah. I mean, that's just one tool
yeah.
that we recommend, or something similar to that, so you can get clear with yourself. Because if you're not living an integrous life, you're living an ill life, because you're living fraud. And if you're living fraud, how can you even be healthy in that kind of environment? You can't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You can't live a fraudulent life and expect to be healthy. You may get by with it for a while, but sooner or later it's not going to work long term. Just can't. This is impossible.
It's a lot of work, though. It's like constantly being vigilant about your thoughts. What are you feeling?
Your intention.
Yeah, your intention. What are you trying to get out of what you're doing? Why are you doing what you're doing? I mean, all of this takes constant vigilance. It's exhausting sometimes.
Well, it is. It totally is called
That's why I
self-mastery.
drink. I'm saying.
Yeah, right.
Uh,
But that's true though. That's why people have these addictions and distractions, is really to stop the growth, because I'm comfortable. I don't want to go anywhere. and our society actually praises that kind of thinking,
Yes.
that
And
that
yet,
stagnation.
cultures have used certain drugs to expand consciousness. So I guess it's where you're at consciously.
Oh no, you got to update your language. That's not drugs. Those are plants.
Plants, yes, but I'm
Or
saying they used um, they didn't use it as escape, is what I'm
right,
saying. They used it as expansion.
right.
But
Yep.
I think you have to be to a certain level of expansion to be able to use it that way, because if you'll naturally gravitate towards escapism if you're not in a place that, do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, if you're not vigilant, and it's an intention again. If
Yeah.
you're, because some people can use meditation as their distraction, just like alcohol or pharmaceutical drugs or food or sex or drugs or hemp or cannabis or mushrooms or whatever. I mean, it's always it's if what why are you wanting to use it?
Right. That's right.
Do we want to
So
talk a little bit about Landmark?
I
I think it'd be better that you guys can talk about it. I mean, it altered my life. I mean, Delanne is the one to talk to about that because
Oh, I don't think people knew what we were talking about when we mentioned it.
right.
I'd never heard of it before you guys said something to me. I had no clue. It is in my town, and I would have never have known. It's a big thing. So
It is the science of ontology, the study of human being, and it's really how to make your life work on all levels. It is fundamental things, and it altered my life to the point that it gave me the ability to step out of a lot of uh, distractions, a lot of just negative thinking, a lot of negative being, and it felt most of my life felt like I was dragging this big backpack, which I basically like a freight train on my back that I just followed me around. And
oh, hit your mic, Will. We
when,
can't hear you again.
when I discovered that I can just take off my backpack and that's it.
That's
I
it.
just had to take it off, and it sounds so easy, and it is not.
No, it's
Yeah. I know, Nancy, you got a heck of a story there. That was like, I'm so glad you didn't go home.
no. I was clawing my way out of there. No, I don't want to look at me. No, no, no. No, I want to hear it.
I know. And when you realize we're all standing up to our waist in sewage of our life, and we're all the same. We
Yeah,
all have this.
that's true. That did feel. What is it? Misery loves company. It's like, at least you're around everybody and you see you're not alone in feeling so many things. That's for people who don't understand. You meet for basically it's a weekend and then one other night on a Tuesday, but it's an all day. From early morning till about 10 o'clock at night, and it's very intense, and it really does bring up a lot of stuff you maybe didn't realize was there. Now some people go through it and they don't have reactions to it. Me, I was having issues.
Well, it's not that. It's just your ego doesn't want you to change. And some of us, because of our way we're living, the way we have lived and brought up, that ego or identity wants it to stay the same, kind of like a child throwing a nasty hissy fit. And it's like, I don't want to change. I'm like this. I like being in control of this guy or this gal. I am not changing. And then when you start changing and you start even contemplating, I want to do this instead of that. I'll feel better.
Yep.
And the identity and the ego just does not want us to change, and it will throw fits like a little 5-year-old or 4-year-old.
It's almost like the pathogenic overload, Will, that makes the host do other things. The ego is like that. It's that other voice. It's that voice that tells you, you know, it, tells you terrible things. Well, it doesn't have to be terrible, but it feels terrible when you start looking at it sometimes.
Right. Yeah. And so when you
Yeah.
get clear of that and you get that out of the way and you can just start to be free in that regard and just be with anybody, doesn't matter who they are, and you're
Yep.
just okay with you. I've accepted me. That's why I talk about myself all the time because it's like I found it so hard at first that I nobody don't talk about me. So I'm like, oh well, and part of my own evolving out and to become, my own, what's that word? Physician, heal thyself. I'm working on me all the time,
That's it.
and that's part. It's just when you can like be clear with, hey, yeah, I screwed up. I'm so sorry. I did this. I apologize. Yeah, I didn't mean to do that. But I screwed up. I screwed up really bad. When you can do that, and it's gone. There's no negativity then.
Well, it's owning the reasons you're doing things, and
Owning your crap.
yeah, that's the toughest thing because sometimes I don't know if anybody else feels that, but it's like you unconsciously do things. It's just a habit, the way you do things. You run yourself right into a wall all over again, and it takes some good friends to point that out to you, and you learn, you get your
you
head knocked in a
you
bit.
learn to love yourself, and you learn to have compassion for yourself too. Because most of us, and I say most of us because I'm saying that because the most of people we deal with, they beat themselves up. They live in blame, shame, and guilt,
Hmm.
and they make themselves wrong all the time. And when you get past all of that, there's a freedom there that's unexplained. You can't put words to it. It's a feeling. It's not a word.
No, I know.
You're not encumbered by that anymore. And when you don't have that, your body responds, your mind responds.
There was a letter posted on the kitchen site today, and it was really incredible. That the letter to myself, I think it's called.
Christine put that on her own page.
Yeah.
Through,
Uh-huh.
I thought it was great too. It really.
Yeah. I read. I'm like, yeah.
Well,
Yeah, Christine and Jim are doing they've moved from Delaware to Florida in a motorhome, and now they're into an apartment. And you want to talk about creating your life. There's two people that are just recreating their life over it from nothing
that's awesome.
in the middle of a health challenge.
Wow.
That's huge. That's huge.
Hmm. I shouldn't say good luck. I should say blessings. How about that?
Yeah, you'd be like a cheerleader. Go, go, go.
Absolutely.
Say, we've been at it an hour.
I know. You getting tired, Will?
No, but I'm getting hungry.
Getting hungry. All
What are you
right.
cooking?
Go eat. Well, we want to thank you, Will, for coming on with us. Let me tell you something. Everybody in the kitchen loves to hear what you have to say. We had Delanne on the last time. She was wonderful. So, it's great. You share information, and everybody gets something out of, like you said, these conversations that we have.
Right. Yep.
And, you know, um, we welcome people to join in the conversations. There are links that I always put up on the kitchen on Facebook page, and you can follow those links, and there's a way to get in for the question and answers. Of course, you could post those before we come on, and we'd love to answer any questions you have. Um, Cheryl, did you want to say anything else? Was there anything that came up this week on the kitchen, anything else, or did we kind of cover it all?
um,
Nothing else?
Not
Yeah.
unless you want to talk about the Zika virus, but
Well, maybe.
It's really easy. We can cut that conversation right down. It's been around since the 50s. It's a biological agent, and it's all fear pornography. That's it.
Yeah, and they got a vaccine already.
Yeah, right? Yay!
Amazing that they have
Mi-
that.
Mika wants to say goodnight.
Oh,
She's
Mika.
going to bed. Here's Mika. Here. So, hey, hi.
Oh,
Hi.
hello, baby.
Here, I'll put the headphones on here.
Oh, Mika, we love you. Hi, Mika.
Oh.
Yeah.
See, I'm going to bed. Good night.
Good going to bed. Good night.
Good night, Mika.
Good night, Mika. Kisses. Oh, baby. Good night. Oh,
Yeah,
she's
it's
so
Mika's
beautiful.
bedtime, so good night. Bye-bye. Give me a kiss. Okay, see ya.
Oh,
See you
see,
tomorrow.
that's the way to end a show. We love
I know. It was great timing.
perfect.
Thank you, Mika. Bye.
Ended the show for us. So
Yeah.
we'll say good night as well. Good night, Mika, and good night, everybody in the kitchen, and good night, everybody, for listening. Thank you for joining us one more time. We'll see you soon.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Good night.